Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Mama June truth behind Pumpkin and Josh Efird's new relationships. What is the truth behind Lauren Pumpkin Efird and her estranged husband, Josh Efird's new relationships? Though they just filed for divorce on Thursday, August 1st, it looks like they have both moved on. That is all well and good, but is there more to the story about those they've moved on with? Keep reading for some interesting details about their situations. Mama June truth behind Pumpkin and Josh Efird's new relationships. Lauren Pumpkin Efird was just 15 when she started dating Josh Efird, who was a handful of years older than her. However, things worked for them and they appeared to beat the odds. They went on to have 4 children and helped to raise Pumpkin's youngest sister, Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson. Though Pumpkin did not do everything right as a mother and Josh was seen having a temper on social media, they had each other's backs. Then things began to crumble and that was the end of Pumpkin and Josh. Yet, as fans pointed out in Mama June fashion, the two could not stay single for long. Pumpkin is allegedly seeing Darren Kitchens, who may be related to Josh. At the same time, Josh is supposedly seeing a pregnant lady named Keely, though the baby is not his. Now more details are emerging and some are saying that Keely and Darren are also connected in some fashion. More so, Josh and Pumpkin may have become involved with the duo at the same time as they are allegedly swingers. This made it into a Reddit thread because followers are doing some deep digging. So this is a lot to take in right now because of how connected everyone seems to be. Is this Josh Efird's cousin that Pumpkin is dating and are they swingers? Followers weighed in immediately. Insert family tree as a circle. You know what, I'm so done with this family. It would totally make sense that they're swingers. She's bi and a lot of the women are in that community. Distracted divorce? Some believe that Pumpkin and Josh Efird were getting divorced for a Mama June family crisis storyline. However, one follower had another theory. This is making me wonder if they filed for divorce to get the attention of the press and have really just been swinging with this other couple for a while and didn't want to admit any of that. They also pointed out that fans have been knocking June for her ways for years, when maybe it was Josh and Pumpkin flying under the radar. As for Darren Kitchens, regardless of what they choose to do in their private time, he is apparently an amazing father with a great track record. Lauren Pumpkin Efird and Josh Efird had once been the epitome of young love, a couple that weathered storms together, proving that against all odds they could survive. From the moment they met, there was a spark, an unspoken understanding that they were meant for each other. But as life would have it, even the brightest sparks can dim, and the solid ground they once stood on began to crumble. The reality show spotlight had both its perks and pitfalls. For Pumpkin and Josh, the pressure of constant scrutiny started to weigh heavily on their relationship. The arguments that had once been resolved with a kiss and a hug now lingered, festering into something much darker. Friends and family began to notice the tension, the way Josh's smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore, or how Pumpkin would retreat into herself, becoming a shadow of the vibrant woman she used to be. It was no secret that Mama June had her issues, and her daughter had spent years trying to navigate the fallout. From addiction battles to questionable relationships, Pumpkin had always stood as the pillar of strength in her family, often putting her own needs last. But this time the burden was too much. The cracks in her marriage to Josh widened, and before long, the couple decided to separate. The news of their split sent shockwaves through the fan base. How could Pumpkin and Josh, the couple who had stuck by each other through thick and thin, call it quits? Rumors began to swirl about what could have possibly caused the breakup. Some speculated that it was infidelity, others whispered about the pressure of raising children while still being so young. But the truth, as it often is, was far more complicated. Pumpkin had spent years playing the role of wife and mother, all while trying to maintain her own identity. But somewhere along the way, she lost herself. She had dreams once, ambitions that had been put on hold to support Josh and care for their children. The realization that she had given so much of herself away for the sake of her family hit her like a ton of bricks. It was time for her to rediscover who she was, to reclaim the pieces of herself that had been lost. Josh, on the other hand, was dealing with his own demons. The weight of being the man of the house at such a young age was suffocating. He had tried to be everything Pumpkin needed. a supportive husband, a loving father, a reliable provider. But in doing so, he lost sight of his own needs. The pressure to live up to expectations, both his own and those of the outside world, became unbearable. He found himself distancing from Pumpkin, not out of malice, but because he didn't know how to face the growing void between them. The decision to separate was mutual, though no less heartbreaking. It wasn't about falling out of love, but rather a realization that they needed to find themselves before they could truly be there for each other. The love they had was still there, but it had evolved into something different, a deep, enduring respect, and a desire for each other's happiness, even if that meant being apart. As the news of their separation settled, the question on everyone's mind was what would happen next. Would they find their way back to each other, or were they destined to walk separate paths from here on out? It wasn't long before whispers of new relationships began to emerge. Josh had always been a private person, but it was hard to keep anything hidden in the world of reality TV. He was spotted with a new woman, someone who seemed to bring a spark back into his eyes. She was different from Pumpkin, more carefree and spontaneous. Their connection was undeniable, and for the first time in a long time, Josh felt like he could breathe again. Pumpkin, too, found herself drawn to someone new. It wasn't planned, and it certainly wasn't something she was actively seeking, but life has a funny way of bringing people into your life when you least expect it. He was a friend first, someone who understood her struggles without judgment. Their relationship blossomed slowly, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. He made her feel seen, not as a reality TV star, but as Lauren, a woman with hopes, dreams, and a heart that had been through more than most her age. The public, of course, had mixed reactions. Some were supportive, understanding that Pumpkin and Josh were simply trying to find happiness in a life that had been anything but ordinary. Others were more critical, accusing them of moving on too quickly, of not fighting hard enough for their marriage. But what these critics didn't understand was that sometimes letting go is the bravest thing you can do. Pumpkin and Josh's new relationships weren't about replacing each other, but rather about finding themselves. They had spent so long being defined by their roles in each other's lives that they forgot what it was like to stand on their own. Their new partners were not there to fill a void, but to walk alongside them as they navigated this new chapter in their lives. As time went on, Pumpkin and Josh's relationship evolved from estranged spouses to friends and co-parents. The love they had for their children was stronger than any past resentment, and they were determined to raise their kids with as much love and stability as possible. Their new relationships were a part of that stability, bringing new dynamics into their family, but never replacing the bond they shared. In the end, Pumpkin and Josh's story wasn't one of failure, but of growth. They'd had the courage to acknowledge that their marriage as it was no longer served them. Instead of staying in a relationship out of fear or obligation, they chose to let go, to rediscover who they were as individuals. And in doing so, they found a new kind of love, one that wasn't defined by labels or societal expectations, but by mutual respect and a shared commitment to happiness. Their journey was far from over, but they were finally on a path that felt true to who they were, and for Pumpkin and Josh, that was more than enough.